I'm Jay Taylor. I'm the editor of a newsletter called Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks, and I'm here in Vancouver. It's May the 25th, 2018, at the Metals Investor Forum, and I'm really pleased to be with Michael Gunning. I just met him now for the first time. It's a new story to me, although I understand that most of the newsletter writers at the conference already cover VR resources. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thanks, Jay.
Michael.
Thank you.
So it is a new story to me. I understand there's like 47 million shares outstanding, yes. Pretty low market cap. You've got several copper targets, I think, in Nevada. You got one gold, pure gold play there. Is there a flagship among those copper targets, or are you treating them all?
There is a flagship. It's called the Bonita copper gold porphyry system, and it's akin to the famous Yarrington porphyry copper camp in Nevada. So VR is the continuance of a 4-year private company that I formed after coming out of the chaos and excitement of Hathor and Alpha in the uranium space. And really that was the model, Jay, was to take the concept of value creation from world-class discovery in a world-class district. I wanted change for creative thinking, and our goal was to do that in large copper gold footprints in a world-class mining jurisdiction for copper like Nevada. So we've been working on Bonita for almost 4 years. My private shareholders took a lot of that front-end risk. And I was just down there last week as we're starting our follow-up drilling from last fall. And the reason that investors should care about Bonita is, one, it's really about size and scale. You need scale in porphyry systems. Bonita has turned out to be about a 10 by 10 kilometer porphyry system. The system itself is large, and the targets that we're now drilling are what look like breccia pipes that are about 1,000 meters in diameter. They show up geophysically for 1 kilometer vertically. So Bonita, the targets have the scale permissive for large copper gold deposit, whether it's porphyry style or IOCG. And the system itself is large enough to believe that there is a cluster of potential target types. So the reason that those letter writers are following VR is that the opportunity was really 4 years ago when the private company didn't stake a showing. We staked a district. It was 2014. There wasn't a lot of competition.
Yeah, right.
So you have a company that has IPO'd a year ago, very tight share structure. 5 people own half the shares, including myself. And you go in and are able to have a company that owns a district as opposed to a showing, 100% ownership with no royalties. And you're drill testing targets that, should you be fortunate enough to get a copper gold intersection, simply have the scale that is permissive to get excited about where that discovery hole could go in terms of volume. Share structure, size of the system, ownership, and we're in Nevada, Jay.
Yeah, for sure.
If you look at what's happened to the copper world in jurisdictions like Pakistan, Indonesia, Mongolia, DRC, you understand why my goal is to give the major copper companies a discovery in a jurisdiction where we can get a permit in 20 days. We can drive to the property in a Toyota Prius. So if we make a discovery, can we get it out of the ground? Is the
question.
Is a non-issue when you're in Nevada. You know that you have the infrastructure for cost-effective exploration, and you have a supportive regulatory environment.
Yeah.
So for us, it's about discovery. If we can do that, the rest will take care of itself.
So that's your flagship, and you've got 3 others, as I understand, copper targets. What are your plans for those?
So Bonita is at the front end for investors in terms of what could happen in the next 3 to 4 months. But as the company IPO'd basically a year ago, we started acquiring outright 2 copper-silver projects to the north and a primary classic Nevada tertiary epithermal gold story to the south in the Walker Lane.
Walker Lane, okay.
Yeah, sure. It's near deposits that your investors would know, things like Round Mountain and Paradise Peak.
So more towards the northern end.
Exactly.
Of the
the northern side of the Walker Lane.
Yeah.
And so now, although for investors the short-term upside has been into drilling unlike a year ago, you're now investing in a company with 2 or 3 projects in behind Bonita, if you will, and we are currently flying airborne surveys, doing more surface exploration, doing the things that we were doing at Bonita 3 years ago.
Privately.
Yes, we're now doing at these new acquisitions, and the Junction Copper-Silver project to the north of Bonita is not about size, it's about grade. You have very unusual bornite, chalcocite, covellite, argentite veins at surface. They've caught people's attention, and it looks like we'll probably drill this calendar year, potentially in the fall. So Bonita is about scale, Junction is about grade, and the location of Danbo in the Walker Lane and the similarities to the setting of Round Mountain and Paradise Peak mean that at some point in our near future, we're going to be talking about Danbo a lot more. We just need to get the surface exploration done. So that's happening in the background. But at the end of the day, Jay, we are about, excuse me, discovery-based value creation. It's what I've done for my whole career. It's what my chairman has done for his whole career. And in Nevada, if you can make those types of discoveries in copper and gold, mining companies,
they'll be there.
They'll be there.
So what about money? You've got this Flagship, you've got others. What kind of a budget do you have? How much do you have in the till? How far will it take you? When do we have to worry about issuing more shares?
Sure. We've just gone from about 36 million shares to about 47 on a financing this spring at 25 and 27 cents. Our share structure is about $47 million, and coming out of that, 47 million shares.
Yeah.
And coming out of that financing, capital working treasury of about $4 million. And we estimate normally we have an exploration budget of $1 to $1.5 million a year. And so a normal all-in G&A budget of a couple $1 million a year. I look at our working capital as carrying us through 2019.
Oh, good.
And of course, it depends what we find on this follow-up drilling at Bonita that's going on right now for a couple of months. But in general, I see us being able to work through this year and next year in terms of drilling at Bonita, advancing exploration on the other properties, carrying a very tight G&A in Vancouver. The VR model is not about carrying a large staff and a large office in Vancouver. The VR model is about taking investors' money and putting it into a soil sample, an IP survey, a drill hole. And so that working capital I see as a two-year strategy.
I see you have pretty good institutional holdings. Who are some of the institutions, if you could tell us?
We do. I think I can say, because we're on record, RCF, the people I deal with in Denver, US Global.
Frank Holmes.
Yes, and the Gold 2000 folks.
Yeah.
They, especially RCF, have known Mike Gunning in the uranium space. They knew the private company that worked for 4 years and invested in that. So I'm fortunate to have these institutions who are excited about discovery, but what they're really excited about is what that discovery would lead to in terms of copper development in Nevada. So these are not short-term, share price-oriented investors. They
project generators.
They're investing in Mike Gunning, the business model, Darren Wagner, our chairman. So between those institutions and myself, I'm still the largest shareholder at 15%. About half of our share float is held in people that, while we are excited about a drill hole, it's much more than that in terms of potential value creation of a discovery and a development and sale in a jurisdiction in Nevada when we know what the major copper companies need.
Yeah.
They need new discoveries. You know, Jay, how often the junior space is looking at old resource discoveries?
Yeah. Oh, that's mostly what we're looking at.
I'm looking at putting something new on the table that Freeport or Kennecott or Rio Tinto has not seen. And that's what these institutions understand. And Bonita gives us, in the short term, a very, very unusual opportunity.
So you have a very low market cap. You got huge elephant-sized targets, at least the one, the Flagship.
It is elephant hunting.
And how soon might the drills turn?
So the drill started turning last week. I've come back to Vancouver for the conference. We literally started turning 7 days ago. And my guidance to the market has been about 2,000 meters, 2 long holes, on 2 separate targets. Should take a couple of months to drill, and we would then come back to market. Normally, you would come back with a news release on the program. So,
Right.
give
After
us
the 2, you'll wait for both of them, results
right.
from both of
Wait
them.
for a couple of months to test the 2 targets, get all the geochem back. But we've been working on this for 4 years. These breccia pipes are well defined, and what's exciting for us is how one of these drill holes, because these are vertically attenuated pipes, could do to the company and could do to the copper industry. So we're excited. We know exactly what we want to do in terms of follow-up from last fall, but it'll take a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very pleased with the startup and the efficiencies. Do you know how one of the things in exploration, you benefit from your learning curve
Sure.
on the previous drill program?
Yeah, that's right.
Bonita has never been drilled, so we have a different strategy on
Sure.
water, we have a different strategy on crew mobilization. And even that is exciting for investors, knowing that they're now working with a company that has got a program under their belt, and
Mhm.
being cost effective on drilling is important. So as much as we're excited about the results, potential results, we're excited about just, we know this property now.
Yeah.
And the drillers know it too.
It's certainly sounds interesting. That's a great elevator pitch, I must say. I definitely have to
Thanks,
take a look at it closer. And I mean, I'm left behind. I guess all of my newsletter writers, colleagues, they got in at much lower prices, I suppose.
Well, I'm going to say this has not left you behind, because
Okay.
the scale of these targets and the scale of the system is such that
Yeah.
we are just getting going. And I shouldn't say this, but whether you get into this stock right now at 25 cents or 40, doesn't
Might not matter
matter
much,
if
yeah.
you understand what the net present value of a large copper gold
Mhm.
breccia pipe is.
Mhm.
And if you understand what could happen if you actually own a cluster of them. In other words, you own a camp like Yarrington.
Mhm.
So, no, this story has not left you behind. And even should the market respond to an intersection, you can see in the scale of the target and the system that that is the starting point for a company that actually wants to see this through in terms of deposit volume potential. So we're just getting going, Jay.
So we might look for some results
End of the summer.
end of the summer.
End of
Okay.
the summer.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
certainly be watching. That's for sure.
It's an easy story for a geologist to talk about. I'm excited about this as my own investments in my own company.
Yeah.
But really, as a geologist, coming from the major company space where I do, this is an easy project to talk about right now.
Interesting.
So don't feel like this train has left. That is
Okay.
not what VR and Bonita are about.
Okay. Well, I'll certainly be watching and digging into it more deeply, I'm sure. Thank you
Thanks, Jay, for the
Very much,
time.
Mike,
And
for the
thanks for
time.
the time of the conference.
for the
I
story.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
Good.